Hey, what's up, world? So I got a serious topic on my mind today, and I don't just like to talk. I like to support my ideas, my beliefs, my knowledge, my understandings. I guess a good way to start this is to say that, I've been rejected most of my life by most people. Friends, family, teachers, law enforcement, doctors, professors, employers, supervisors. And the reason that I get rejected is partially my fault. But the reason, it's a legit reason. And one of the reasons that I'm often rejected is because I like to talk. I don't like to talk about nonsense. I like to talk about real life. And one of the ways to talk about real life is to ask real life questions and to point out real life concepts. And I found out over my many years that through asking questions, real questions that were taught as children, who, what, where, when, and why. Most importantly to me is why. Why are you doing what you do? I'm not questioning your authority. I'm questioning for my knowledge. I want to know why you do what you do so that I know why I'll do what I do. I don't like to do stuff just to do it. And, in the Marine Corps, you'd often have what they call busy work. And even in, working in the many industries, they'd say if you got time to lean, you got time to clean. Well, I just mopped the floor. Well, mop it again. Why? Because you ain't doing nothing else. Oh, okay. I mean, I think it's stupid, but okay. At least now I know why. It's not because I didn't do a good job this first time or all floors need to be mopped 3 times. But often when I ask these same questions to everybody. Why this medication? Why is this the rule? And most often, I'm 50 years old and I finally come to learn most people don't know why they do what they do. They just do. And I'm not okay with that for me. If you're okay with that for you, that's fine. But I'm not okay with that for me. I need to know why. I don't just do. I need to know why things are a certain color. Why are they a certain height? Why plant it here and not over there? Because if I don't know, I can't learn why this is growing or not growing. I can't pass this information along to others. When other people ask me why, I want to have an answer that says, well, this is why. I don't like just because that's what we do. It's not okay with me. So, it's gotten me in a lot of trouble. And like I said, it's partially my fault because I asked these questions. But it's mostly the world's fault for not having the answers and taking my question to you as questioning the authority. Authority doesn't like to be questioned. It really doesn't. All the way up to the presidency. You ever see people get asked questions and they talk about everything but? No. I just needed 30 seconds of your time to find out why you're doing what you do or why you said what you said. And if you said what you said out of mistake, no worries. Let me know. But most people don't. Most people don't have it in their heart. They don't have the strength and the courage to tell you, oh, I don't know, or I shouldn't have said that, or I shouldn't have done that. So, And this is where this becomes, that's not even the difficult conversation. The difficult conversation, I like to talk about death a lot. As a firm believer, as a firm knower of Christ, of God, of the spiritual realm, of spiritual warfare, I like to talk about death. Because I know it's coming, and I know that our time here right now is short. It's so temporary. And I truly believe there's better to come if you do things right. Now, there's a huge difference between religion and Christianity. Christianity is a cultural belief. It's a group of people who believe in something, aka Jesus Christ, Christianity. We believe he is who he says he is in the scriptures. Religion adds all kinds of rules and weird things into their version of Christianity. Baptist, Catholic, Methodist, Lutheran, Presbyterian, Jehovah's Witness, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, Satanism. These are all religions. Satanism isn't a religion of Christianity, but most of the other ones are. Except for Buddhism and Hinduism and Islam. But I know what I'm talking about because I've done my homework. Because I approached many people who could not answer my questions. All religions put their own spin on Christianity. And they all follow a man who says that he is the author and you should do what he says. Don't read the book yourself. Just listen to me. Well, what if he's wrong? Most of them are. Most of them do not have an answer. You can go to many priests, pastors, rabbis, ask them questions, hard questions, and their answer will be, well, I don't know. That's just the way God does it. That's not good enough for me. You should know more. So I like to talk about death a lot because I believe it's real and I believe it can happen at any second to any of us. Jesus says, clean your house, keep your house clean, because you do not know the day when I will arrive. Most people that I know, I'll say 98%, have a dirty house, a dirty mind, a dirty body, a dirty spirit, a weak spirit. And I get it. It's confusing. There's so many distractions here on this earth. With all these distractions, Netflix, Showtime, Cinemax, HBO, Hulu, Amazon, Disney Channel. Who has time for the Bible? Who has time to learn about God? So we only do it one day a week for 23 minutes. And we sing some songs that we don't pay attention to the words, we just sing them. And then we feel good and go about our day. I'm not okay with that. We are here. This is the devil's kingdom. This is Satan's kingdom. Jesus himself said it. God said it. It's in the Bible. Look it up. This is not the kingdom of God. Satan was put here to rule for 1,000 years. What easier way to rule, to steal you away from Jesus and God, than to distract you? Movies, music, TV, nonsense, gossip, sugar, booze, drugs. What easier way to distract you than to give you what you want, more of it, and make it very convenient? So nobody's interested in God because we're all interested in the distraction. Because the dopamine, we get our own personal high whenever we watch somebody on TV die. When we binge watch nonsense and we get a laugh here and a laugh there. It's not even funny. They play a laugh track. The show itself has a record button to tell you when to laugh by making a fake audience sound like it's laughing. Ha ha ha. Oh, that must have been funny. I should pay more attention. Okay, now with death. When I was in high school, in public school, we had a loudspeaker. And every year, for like the first 4 weeks or more of school, first thing in the morning, the principal would come on and give his message. And then almost every day, there was a message about a student that got killed over the weekend. Gang violence was out of control. They turned Saginaw into Sagnasty. I was experienced from a young age death because my friends were getting killed. People that sat next to me in the seat next to me were getting killed. I knew people who had killed somebody else. It was a violent culture. It was a violent life. I was not into Christ. I was not into God. I was a Catholic. I'm no longer a Catholic. I denounce Catholicism. Catholicism is a religion. Catholic actually means unity of the people. It's an ancient word that a select group of people took and used to label their own society. Catholicism. It's not the original use of the word. They stole the word. I denounce Catholicism. I don't believe in it. The last paragraph of the scriptures, the last paragraph of the book of Revelation says, do not add or take anything away from these. If you do, you will be condemned with all the plagues of the earth. And yet, what does religion do? Definitely takes away and adds to. And here's where it adds to. Let's talk about death. Burial. Let's talk about burial. What does the Bible say about burial? Very little. The Bible says, take it out of here, take the body out, nobody touch it for 7 days. Put rocks on top of it, put it in a tomb. Why? To stop the spread of disease and to stop the ability of animals to come and pick away at the bones. Nobody wants to see their loved one that has passed away being carried off by a group of hyenas. But you should be okay with that if you understand that the body is just a source, an amazing source, amazing group of organs to support the spirit, to support the soul. So, even Joseph said, when you leave here, to Moses, when you leave here, take my bones with you. Don't leave my bones here. He didn't say anything about burying me. He didn't say anything about embalming me, even though that was an Egyptian practice passed down. Embalming, that's an Egyptian practice, has nothing to do with Catholicism. They embalmed bodies because they believed that the king would be able to come back into his body and rule again. Burial, death is all cultural. There's some cultures that will take their deceased loved ones into their home and leave it there for weeks and months at a time. And they'll dress it and redress it and they'll wash it because they don't want the body to be gone. They don't believe in the afterlife. In Catholicism, there's a practice of a funeral, a procession. There's this practice where they go and they view the dead body for hours, days, weeks. I don't understand that. I don't want to stare at a dead body. I realized that when I seen my dead father. What am I doing? Why am I looking at his corpse? And it creeped me out. Before my father died, my grandmother died, his mom. And she had been dead for many years. I was at her bedside in the hospital when she passed. And she had been gone for many years. And we never went to her gravesite. And one day I said, Dad, because I asked questions, I said, Dad, how come we don't go to the gravesite? How come you don't go to Grandma's gravesite? And he said, I was with her in the flesh. I don't need to go and kneel down by where there's a body. I don't need to do that. To talk to my mom, he said, I talk to my mom all the time. I don't need to go to a graveyard to do that. And that made me go, that's pretty interesting. And I liked it. And so why do we bury bodies? I believe, well, I know that we bury bodies 6 feet under because the plague of London in 1665. During this plague, there were bodies everywhere and they weren't being buried deep enough. And people were getting sick. They believed that if you bury the body at least 6 feet under, nothing can dig it up. And if you're tilling a field, a farm field, the machinery won't dig up a body. In Jesus' day, they used tombs, caves. They didn't bury bodies. So funerals are cultural. Hindus practice their own version. Muslims practice their own version. There was a man that wanted to follow Jesus. And he said, I want to follow you, Lord. But first, let me go bury my loved one. They've passed on. And Jesus said, let the dead bury their own. And there's different reasons that Jesus told this to this man. He said, come with me now, or let the dead bury their own. And let the dead bury their own. The man didn't go with Jesus. He went back home to bury the dead. And it's because in that culture, the process of burying the dead would last months. And Jesus knew, if you go back and bury this man, you ain't never coming to find me. You're going to be too preoccupied with that tradition. So also in Catholicism, we have what's called a luncheon. After the funeral, everybody goes back and they have a lunch. I don't really understand this either. I know the purpose is supposed to be with the family that lost a loved one, whether it's a husband or a wife or children. You're supposed to be there for support. They don't need your support right now. They don't need 100 people. I don't believe they need 100 people sitting around eating and talking about how great somebody was for a short period of time and then talking about other things. You should be getting together like that regularly if that's how you feel about each other. Not when somebody dies. Yes, certain people I think should be there to support. A handful. 2 or 3. Don't make it overwhelming. The person's grieving alone enough. They don't need 100 people sitting around making noise and chitter chatter. That's how I think. Well, that's my belief. My personal belief and stance that I've told my family is that if I have not spoken, I'm not going to have a funeral. Create my body, or what do they call it? Burn it. Cremation. cremate my body and spread my ashes. This is the devil's playground. I don't want to be buried here. I don't want my body to be sitting here in the devil's playground. Let it go back to the heavens. Not only do I want to be cremated, but there will be no viewing. Nobody's coming to look at my dead corpse. And if you have a small a luncheon or something like that, or if you want to have a dinner, a gathering, a get-together, no disrespect to anybody. This is my personal belief, my feelings. If I haven't talked to you, if you haven't reached out to me in 6 months, there's no point in doing it today, on the day of my death. There's no point. If we haven't been in communication in 6 months, don't holler at me. I don't want a luncheon. I want like 4 or 5 people that my family wants there. Personal invitation. You get personally invitated to a wedding, to a baby shower, but to a funeral, everybody's welcome. I don't understand that. I think it's what religion told people to do, and therefore they do it. So this is a long video, but in wrapping this up, there was a death in the family yesterday. My Uncle Mike. And I wouldn't be able to say this at his funeral, or his luncheon, or his gathering. But here's how I feel. I'm on my way to the shop right now. My Uncle Mike was a unique person. Very unique. He was what I would call, no doubt, and I'm very blessed to have had him in my life. He was one of the last real American cowboys. This man raised horses, had horses, lived on a farm, rode in rodeos. He was a very kind person. He was like back in the day what you look like the Marlboro Man back in the 80s, you know, that guy on a horse, the man. That was him. He was no joke. He could be super serious and super funny. But he was always kind. He was a hard worker. He worked with heavy equipment and he liked it. He liked it so much, he had a farm. And he bought his own excavator for his farm. Because he enjoyed it. He drove hours to work. He drove hours home from work. He worked far from home. He took the work where he could get the work. He raised a family. He taught me a lot about the outdoors as a young boy. He taught me about the outdoors. He taught me about weapons, guns. He taught me about digging in the dirt to find arrowheads. He taught me how to swing from a rope in a barn, jump on hay, play on hay, stack hay. He taught me how to sit around a bonfire and talk to people. I don't know how spiritual he was or how connected with God he was. He had a long death, like my father. Long illness, which I believe during that time he was able to connect with God. He paid his dues so that he would be gifted the eternal kingdom of heaven. So he's gone now, and his funeral's coming up. I'm not going to attend it because I don't do funerals and I'm not a Catholic. What I do plan to do is spend quality time with my aunt afterwards, after the water's settled, to go and visit on a personal basis. So he's gone, and he's going to be missed by children and grandchildren and a wife. But he was a stand-up guy. And I'm very fortunate to have known him. Because like I said, we live in Michigan, and there's not a lot of cowboys. There's not even a lot of farmers left. There's not a lot of good people left. And he was all of it. And that's very unique. That's all I got. It's just how I feel, and I speak my mind. God bless.